Welcome back to Welsh Miniature Board Gamer, and this is my June review of what I got painted for my New Year's resolution of painting one miniature a day, each day for a year. So the first miniature here I painted is a police officer like zombie or Cthulhu sort of infected miniature from the others. They're pretty plain, pretty easily painted, but actually the effect is quite nice. You go with the blues and what have you for the uniform, and then you get that bright orangey pink tentacle coming out of their mouth and what have you, and yeah, it works really well, and not really just tied down to the others because I haven't even played that game, so I can't I'm not going to say that they're going to be used for that purpose, but I think these can be used for any sort of zombie or such game, So I painted up like 6 of these miniatures. So there is 3 different poses, 2 miniatures of each pose, as you can see. There's quite a bit of character to them, and they look pretty nice considering they're for like a so-called board game, or a miniature board game, I suppose. So then we got some Skaven. So these are the GW Skavens, and they painted them up fairly quickly with contrast paints to go over like a light base original colour for the Skaven skin. They've all got the same sort of greenish coloured clothing to keep them as a unit, if you like. So there you go. It's not really much more to be said about these, apart from they're really nice. I like them. I've got them on square bases, which is probably going to annoy some people, but they are what they are. I got these cheap from eBay because someone had started painting them and left them sort of half done, so I stripped them back and painted them up again. And for what they are, they're really nice, and they've got plenty of character to them. So this is a part of the Stargrave Soldiers or Mercenary packs. I mixed them both up, so I'm not really sure which ones are which, but yeah, they're going to be used for Stargrave, etc. So these are like the first one was just like a soldier. This one's a mechanic because he's carrying a spanner, so he has to be a mechanic, of course. And the bases are 3D printed, some of them. This one isn't, but the other one was. This guy didn't turn out as well as I had hoped. The contrasts I could have taken up further, but sometimes you find that with miniatures. So this guy, I took the heads from a Wargames Atlantic, I think it was, or Wargames Factory, the zombie survivor packs, that they used to make. So it was a police officer, and I just stuck his head on, and I've got him holding what looks like some sort of cup or something in his one hand. So this guy's got the same head, and so I got 2 sort of heavily armed police officers for my games of Stargrave. Not that it really ties in much with the lore, but they might have been police once upon a time. I love this guy's face. He's got a really characterful face, and the gun, it looks like a sort of a futuristic AK-47 or something. So yeah, painted up like in a basic military drab green, so or a Russian green, I suppose that kind of looks like. And then I got this dude in his sort of red Star Trek style uniform, so he'd be the first one to be taken out by my enemy probably. And then this dude, which it was very hastily done, and yeah, not brilliant, but he's painted, so he'll do with his rocket launcher, with a crudely painted fire scheme on the rocket heads. This guy is from the Reaper Bones, so he's one of the plastic range, and he was a villain, I think, or a super villain, from some sort of superhero style But I think he's going to work as some sort of like juggernaut for the game Stargrave, and I painted him up in like blues. They don't really show up very much here, but there are quite a few different colour blues. This guy's an interesting guy from Star Saga, the Mantic game, and that box comes with loads of different miniatures, so it's going to be really good for use in other games and in its own game. But yeah, he painted up really well, and he's got, again, a lot of character about him. He's a bit different. He could be some sort of psychic. And this is a 3D printed shrub beard maybe, because he's quite a small miniature. But yeah, I painted him up quickly just to have him painted up. He's painted up on an end, or it was like a test print that we did, and I quite like him. He's got like this huge green afro, which is quite fun. Now these miniatures are from Sundered Studios, I think it's called, and it's really nice looking zombie miniatures. I really like them. They're quite large. The scale is a large sort of 32mm scale, I would have said, but the detail on them is really nice for like a 3D printed resin miniature. There is a couple of spots where I could see some lines, but they're very few and far between. They're really nice quality. Yes, and they paint up really well. So this guy is an old Games Workshop Mordenheim miniature, and I really like him. I lost his left arm at some point, so I've had to glue on sort of a plastic replacement, but without me telling you that, I don't think many people would know that was a replacement arm. It kind of looks right for the miniature, and he was from the 90s, I think. Now this guy was from the 85-ish, 84 maybe, and he was a champion from the old Citadel range. So he's actually as old as my wife, which is kind of weird to think of that way, that I got miniatures that old. But yeah, I really like painting him, even with his face being all mutated and not up to today's standards. But I really like him. The shield, it was a 3D printed shield that I just threw on him. I should really go looking for a proper shield, because, he deserves it. He's an old boy. Now this guy is even older. So this was a bear, and I got it sort of early 80s, so he might be near sort of 83. But as you can see, the details are quite laughable by modern day standards, but they got their own character. The same for this giant. He was considered a giant back in the day. But they got their own character, and I kind of like them. It is something vaguely sort of, I don't know, there's something nice about them, even though their obvious quality is low. So for the month of June, so 30 days, I actually fell short. I only painted 29. But, it was close. I nearly did it. And I have made up for it in the previous month. So 29 out of 30, not so bad. But 6 months in review, this is what I managed to get done. I've painted 217 miniatures in 181 days. So that's really I'm pleased with that. So here it is. It's all like me just pointing out what I got painted. I got loads of aliens from the Aliens game, bunch of Stargrave, bunch from Star Saga, some Star Wars Legion. What else did we get? We got some. I'm trying to think now. Still going through the Star Saga ones here. Yeah, then we get some. I did a bunch of Reaper Bones and a bunch from the Firefly game, which I've yet to play actually, but I'd like to paint it up first. Then we got some Dead Zone, or what is it? It's the sports game, not Dead Zone. It'll come to me. Dreadball, that's the one. We got some Batman miniatures even. We got some Daleks thrown in there. We got some giant spiders. We got loads of. We got some Frostgrave miniatures, the official line. We got a load of cultists. It goes on. But I've really enjoyed having this sort of thing that I have to paint or try to paint one a day, and it really works. And as you can see, it's great to see the labor, actually having something to show for it at the end of it. And I wouldn't have painted this many if I hadn't set myself that goal. So yeah, I'm glad I'm doing it. So until next time, goodbye from me, Welsh miniature board gamer.